For dyslexia and more academically based type of learning, things like dyscalculia, which is the math counterpart of dyslexia, dysgraphia is the written counterpart. I think some of those have significant milestones that you want to make sure that your child is moving through those milestones, even if they're at the lower end of the range. As long as they're moving, then we're moving in the right direction.
This episode is brought to you by Morrison Mentors, advancing communities through the development and mobilization of dedicated mentors that provide transformative STEM education, academic services, and comprehensive career support to students and their families.
Welcome to Conversations with Verdel Jones. I'm your host, Verdel Jones, and we are about sharing informative conversations that inform and enlighten. We are also about empowering your passion with purpose. I am so excited for today's guest. Today's guest is Kerry Leo, and she is a nationally respected educational therapist, diagnostician, right?
Sure, right.
And the CEO of DaVinci Collaborative. With deep expertise in dyslexia, literacy development, and learning-based disorders, she has trained teachers, partnered with school districts, and helped countless children finally get the support they need. Today, she's here to help parents and educators better understand reading challenges and what steps they can take to advocate early. So, Kerry, thank you so much for being here.
So happy to be here. We made this happen.
I'm so excited to have you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. We met at a literacy conference, and you were on the panel, a great panelist, and shared so much great information with everyone.
Power panel.
Yeah, it was a power panel. It really was.
Happy to be part of that, or be asked to be part of that.
It was amazing. It was a great day, and the work you do is so important because we do have an issue with literacy in this country, and it's needed. And sometimes there's things that go misdiagnosed as well, or undiagnosed. So we're going to
delayed diagnostics,
and we're going to talk about early intervention, which is so important, so important. So you spent decades helping children and educators in this work and understanding how students learn. What originally sparked your passion for literacy and supporting struggling readers?
That's a fun thing for me to talk about because it really was a very maybe unconventional, non-traditional. I never thought I was going to be a teacher. I didn't go into the field originally. Have a marketing degree. Went back and got a special education degree. And I would love to give a shout out to my two mentors, Sue Nathan and Lynn Burke, who kind of stumbled upon me when I was teaching in the high school, and I thought that was what I wanted to do, and I loved the older students, and I was a cheerleading coach at the Kids Park High School, and then I got moved down to the elementary school, and I kind of was in this, what do we do for children at this level? And the important part to note in the story, not about me, but is in my journey, because I came from a business degree and then got a master's in special education. It was a kind of a quick, fast training, and I didn't know this was a problem, but I had no coursework in really what literacy was and what it meant to have a reading disability. And there are other things that I missed out on too, because it just wasn't part of the curriculum in higher education.
And you did special education.
And I did special education.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, and again, this talks to everything that you hit on in the beginning, was this early identification, the people that are involved at the earliest stages of development for our children, and what we know. It was no fault of mine. I had no training. Right. But these two women, when I got moved down to the elementary level, said, what do you know about Orton Gillingham, and which is structured literacy, and it's evolved through different names, but Orton Gillingham was the methodology that has been around for almost a century now, that we use to develop people's reading that are having difficulty with it. But the most important thing for me was this realization as I started getting involved in that, wait, why don't I know this?
Right.
And when you think about 85% of the children who are diagnosed with learning disabilities are diagnosed because of a reading deficit, and it's largely in this like kind of dyslexic world, like this getting the print off the page. So wow, right?
Absolutely.
So when you ask the question like, what was my passion? I think when I had that, when I stumbled upon this experience, thanks to these two women who kind of pointed me in the direction, it was kind of like you can't unring this bell.
Right.
Like when you say, what's the passion? Like that was
That
it.
was
like,
it.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Why doesn't everybody know this? Really?
Yeah.
And that started me, in 1995 on this journey that led me to where we are today.
Wow.
The Malloy Literacy Conference that we were at.
And it's so interesting that programs don't have that learning for future teachers, and not just special education. It's all teachers. If you're an elementary teacher, this is something that you need
100%.
to know.
I remember years ago there was a teacher that I knew, wasn't working with, but I knew her tangentially, and she was like friends with her son and my daughter. And she's like, we were talking about it, and she said to me, I'm a reading teacher, and I don't even know what these things are. And I'm like, that was like, we got to get this out there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we ended up being like, let's get the word out there about what we know and what everybody should know.
What everybody should know, absolutely. So, but many families hear the term dyslexia and ADHD or executive functioning, but they don't always know what it looks like and what does that mean? What does it look like? Can you break down what these challenges often look like in every day in the classroom, or they might see at home?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Because I think what happens some of the times is in education we use a lot of terms.
Yeah.
And parents really don't know what these terms might mean. If you can kind of break down some of that.
And I do think a little bit, I just want to talk to the bigger picture of this. As educators, I think my message is to implore my colleagues to be curious and to know as much as they can, because if we are the specialists and if we are the experts in the field, and we should be, because that's what we went to school, that's what we studied for,
right.
And that's our role in the education system. I think it's important for us to help to control the narrative so it doesn't spin out of control. And parents who are in a state of unease and they're upset, of course, if your child's hurting, you want to find some way to help them.
Right.
So if we can be instruments of helping them, support them, then it's our job to do that. So we really want to be educated in what it is that we're talking about. And I think dyslexia is my favorite one to talk about, because when you dispel the rumors about what it is and what it isn't, it just comes down to a very simple definition of difficulty with accurate and or fluent word reading. And there are other pieces that go with that. And that's despite having average to just intelligence, cognitive intelligence within normal limits. So you're looking at an everyday child who's so typical or within the range of typical.
Right.
And you're saying they should be able to do this, and they're not. At the earliest stages, it's what we would say difficulty with phonological or phonemic awareness, which goes back to your technical terms. But it really is hearing the sounds of our words and knowing that, hamburger has 3 parts, and you can hear that. You can hear how your child will repeat things to you as they're developing that. We say like Paschetti, right? And, some of that is typical and normal, and some of it is a little bit too long, lingering. But you can really watch the development of that. I remember when my daughter was little, she said, she's 32 now, but when she said to me once, Mom, can I watch this show? It's on 8/7 Central. And I went, well, she can't separate
it, right? Yeah.
So really, that's phonological. Like you're adding morphology to it. That's all that technical stuff. But it really is that early rhyming and hearing sounds within words. That's the earliest stage that you'll see that.
Okay.
Word retrieval, finding the right words, and then also really putting the sounds together. You should see it start to develop. It's okay if it's misordered in the beginning, but you should slowly start to see those sounds forming. And if they're not forming, typically start asking questions.
Right. And is there a way for parents to know when that should be happening, or is it in collaboration with the teacher? What are some things that parents can really pinpoint and say, okay, let me take this a step further and find out?
And I mean, listen, we live in the stage of Google and AI, and it really, the stuff that's out there, it's out there. This is not new stuff. So there are stages of development that you can find anywhere. So like my child, by 2, they should have like 2-word completions. They should start to be forming a lot of the sounds that you can see in the front of your mouth. But again, that's super technical. Like I go back to what you just said, in conjunction with your professionals, but really being able to say like what is within normal limits. Like with anything, like you look at your baby's growth and you say, where are they? What percentiles are they in for weight, height, development? And you want them to stay within normal limits or be progressing normally at a rate of improvement. They don't have to be at the average range, but are they progressing in a natural rate?
So when parents start to see this, or they say, I don't know, something is going on here and I'm not too sure, what types of questions should they ask the teacher? And should there be any screenings that they get? Just so parents, if they know something might not be right, what can they do? What steps can they take?
Yeah, there are some really well-developed screening tools, and we're getting better at that all the time. So there are screening tools that the schools can provide, and more schools are bringing in screening tools they have screening tools for dyslexia now. They do have screening tools for ADHD. I think executive functioning now is the new kind of diagnosis du jour, so to speak.
Because it's everything.
It's right. It's like, how do I function for all these executive skills that I need to have? And I think it feels a little bit better than ADHD. Like I think ADHD is like this straight line to medication, whereas executive functioning means, can we learn skills and strategies to improve that? So I think awareness across the board. I don't want parents to think that they have to manage this alone or that there's this one place to go. There are plenty of places to go, and the Yale Center for Dyslexia and Creativity, and there's the International Dyslexia Association. The stuff that's out there is pretty reliable, which is so nice to be in a world where it is.
Exactly.
But you really, what I would implore parents to do is to be somewhat, I guess I want to say like realistic, or somewhat like kind of keyed in on not everything. The earliest we can identify it, the better. But really start to be able to say it's okay for each child to be developing in their own way, but are they developing within normal limits? So when it comes to attention and executive functioning type of issues, definitely in conjunction with your pediatrician and with the school. For dyslexia and more academically based type of learning, things like dyscalculia, which is the math counterpart of dyslexia.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a fun word, right? Yeah, so dyscalculia and dysgraphia is the the written counterpart. I think some of those have significant milestones that you want to make sure that your child is moving through those milestones. Even if they're at the lower end of the range, as long as they're moving, then we're moving in the right direction. Good. And I do think that the best thing a parent can do is to be armed with questions, just unending questions. And we usually say ask 5 questions, 5 whys till you get to the core of what the answer is, and then work with them. The school districts are not necessarily the end all and be all. As much as we work with them, and I love all of my colleagues, we can be wrong. So we want to make sure that we're giving them enough information, working not in an adversarial way, but more in conjunction with them. In conjunction.
And we were talking a little bit about teachers or educators feeling that pressure and that stress behind that, because we do hear in the news literacy is this way, and then you may have a parent who is trying to find answers. How do educators how do they kind of de-stress about this issue, but still providing the quality of education that they need to in regards to this?
Gosh, this is what we're doing all day, every day right now, Verdel. And I think what we realized after 25 years of being in the business and working with our school district colleagues and our families in the private side is we were constantly trying to react and respond to the problems that they were bringing to us as consultants and as partners and collaborative partners with the districts and the parents. They would bring a problem and we would say, okay, how can we help you solve it? And over the years, what we realized, the biggest stressor is that let's start with the teachers, my teacher colleagues, which I want to speak right to them. We go to work and we work so hard every day. We don't really get as much appreciation. We're always fighting for the appreciation that they deserve, right? Because they're working with your kids. I mean, like, you see it all the time. You know, we have the Teacher Appreciation Day because are we underappreciated? Or to be honest, like, our work gets published in the Newsday, or, you know, our scores, or we're held accountable and just responsible for these little brains growing. And when they're not, it must be all our fault. And yet, all we do is go to work and you barely get a bathroom break, right? I mean, it's a lot of work. So here's the stuff that we're trying to do for them, especially for our special educators. But every educator goes through this. But for our special educators, if you have a degree in special education, you have a degree in science, your whole job exists to be a problem solver. If children didn't have learning challenges or learning problems, then we wouldn't be necessary. So as a problem solver, we are scientists in the problem-solving mindset. So how can we do our work and be successful with it, which means less stressful? And that requires us to the tried and true scientific method. The better we can get at collecting data, at knowing how to analyze that data, and as the saying goes from the Patriot, like, aim small, miss small. If we can really narrow, what's the problem? Why do we think it's happening? What do we want to do about it? And then my favorite part of this is, if what we're doing is working, what should progress look like? If we can answer those 4 questions, whether we're sitting at our kitchen table and working with our one student, or we're looking at our whole class and saying, so what's my biggest challenge here? And why do I think it's happening? And what can I do about it? If you could set that journey out for yourself and have a way to measure on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, if what I'm doing is working, this is what that growth should look like, you'll feel less stressed. Because you'll know in 3 or 4 data point collections, am I heading in the right direction? Right. What if we could know that at 6 weeks? And then we could pivot. The earlier you know it, the earlier you can pivot. And you can then, and the more information we know, the more targeted the variable can be for us. So what if we just tweak this or tweak that, time of day or program or strategy? The earlier we know that, the earlier we can intervene. And I feel like our teachers and then our students and our parents become frustrated when they're doing really, really blood, sweat, and tears kind of work, and they're not getting the results. Well, now the student feels frustrated. The parents are mad because you promised me you were going to fix this problem and you're not. And the teachers are feeling unworthy and underappreciated because they're not getting the results and nobody's understanding how much work they're putting into it. So I feel like it starts at the beginning. And just like I was a teacher who was not taught the things I needed to be taught back then, we're really not helping our teachers. We're not really focusing on this whole problem-solving model, which I didn't invent that. That's a scientific method, right? I mean, that's just what people do. So for me, that's the work we're doing. We're really helping teachers to be armed with a really solid problem-solving process.
Absolutely. So we, of course, we're running out of time here.
Yes, we could talk for hours.
Exactly. There's so much information, a lot to unpack, a lot of what DaVinci Collaborative does is support teachers and districts and also individuals as well. So if someone wants to get more information and find out about what you do, how can they get in contact with you?
So we do have a clinic on Long Island in Smithtown in St. James where we do have a clinic like lab set up. So we're training teachers all the time. My philosophy is if we empower educators to become dynamic problems, then they can help students learn how they learn best. And there is a double entendre with that. Right? Like, we want the students to learn in a way that they learn best, but we also want them to understand how they learn best. So our philosophy is teach the teachers who can then teach the masses and more students. So we do have that clinic in St. James, DaVinci Collaborative's clinics at DaVinciCollaborative.com. And then for our school districts, we are out there all day. We have a huge staff of consultants and professional development where we go into schools and we train teachers. So you could certainly contact your school district administration to say, like, we want to become really great problem solvers. So everything is at DaVinciCollaborative.com. You can find us there. We do have our Facebook and our our Instagram and all these things. Everything's at DaVinci Collaborative. But I think I just want to make sure that it's about working as a collaborative team.
Yeah.
And nothing is, one person doesn't have the answer. We have the answer together.
Right.
And I think collaboration, parents, districts, students, all stakeholders involved in achieving the success is what it takes.
I appreciate that. That's great. So before I let you go, I'm going to ask you 2 quick fire questions. A literacy myth you wish would disappear.
If you lean into teaching comprehension, then the reading fluency will follow. That's not a thing.
That's not a thing.
No.
And what is your favorite children's book?
Oh, my favorite children's book. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that is too hard. I mean, we could go with everything from every one of the Harry Potter books. Forget it. Of course, all of them to, oh gosh. I mean, I loved, my kids were obsessed with, the Go Dog Go and all of the Dr. Seuss books.
Right.
I still can recite Dr. Seuss's ABC books, Aunt Annie's Alligator, Bubba Baby Bubbles and a Bumblebee. Got it. My son just read Buffalo Schmuffalo. I mean, there are just so many.
So many good books out there, right?
And I'm gonna kick myself later.
Right, I should have said that.
I didn't say that one. I'm sure my kids aren't gonna do that because that was. There's so many that we're just like, we can't.
Kerry, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on Conversations with Verdel Jones, the insight, strategies for parents and educators as well, how to navigate if their child is having a reading difficulty. So I appreciate the work that you do. And if people want to find out more about DaVinci Collaborative, including you have free leadership consultation as well.
Yes.
Be sure to visit their website and follow them on social media. Thank you so much for being here. Yay! Conversations with Verdel Jones is about sharing knowledge and inspiring action. So remember, in the words of Maya Angelou, when you learn, teach, and when you get, give. If you enjoyed our conversation today, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you will never miss an episode. I'm Verdel Jones, and I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.